Hi, zoology. I have a set of notes for us today. Look at it, we're back in school. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. No wasting time here. Okay, so this is our 8th phylum. This is phylum Echinodermata. It is one of my favorite ones because I think they're super cool. So the little bit of history behind Echinodermata, they've been around for 541 million years. That's when we found the first fossil record and dated it back that time. They have a small amount of different species, only 7,000. And they are the first deuterostomes that we actually have seen. Everything else we've looked at have been protostomes so far, which means that their mouth develops first when they're little embryos. But now these are where the anus develops first. So deuterostomes, yay. They have a very special, because all of these organisms are going to live in the ocean, they have something we call the water vascular system that allows them to operate these tube feet that act like suction cups. So it will push water down, suction cup up, and then be able to walk across the ground. It has canals that run down the arm, so water will enter in through the top of the starfish, enter in through the arms, and then go down into these tube feet. But we'll talk more about that in a bit. They send some signals. Their nervous system works that at the end of each arm on a starfish, if you think about that, they have a little eye that mostly just senses light. It's not like can see things. It just senses light and where things are as a way to sense its surroundings. Those signals then travel down the arm and into the center of the starfish, which is called the nerve ring. And that's where all the processing happens with this external sensory data. Oops, I went a little too fast, sorry. Okay, the skeletal system. So they have these bony plates, and you can see the picture right here. These bony plates allow for flexibility, but also for protection. When we look at our starfish dissection, I'll hold up that part, and it's actually pretty rigid, but still, when it's alive, it allows for better flexibility. They do both sexual and asexual reproduction. For sexual reproduction, they have to find another organism, and they do external fertilization. For asexual, as long as that nerve ring is intact, that organism can grow a whole nother organism. So if I rip apart a starfish, but there's still nerve ring inside one of the arms, that whole arm will grow into another starfish. It's pretty fascinating. All right, we have 5 classes of Echinodermata that we're going to talk about. And they're all pretty cool. We're going to talk about 2 things in terms of them. Their feeding, and then what method they use for feeding. So the first class is Asteroidea. Asteroidea, the first word actually means like star. So these are our typical starfish, which this one should actually not be in there. Sorry, that's a different starfish. They're mostly predatory. They like to feed on clams and anemones and other echinoderms. So they find anything that's lower than them and eat it. The way that they do this is they use their stomach. They like pry open the clam, push their stomach into the clam, digest it in there, and then slurp up the juicy goodness. It's very interesting. It's gross. I love it though, it's fascinating. The second class is class Echinodea. They are herbaceous, which means that they eat different plants. And they also are detritivores, which means they eat like the little scraps. And I call it like ocean dust. The way that they do this is on the outside of their spiky bodies, they have these little tube feet that like go and catch all the different things that come down and then bring it to their mouth, which is on the underside of the echinoderms or echinodeas. And then if we look at the bottom, they have these little mouth pieces, these little jaws that they can use to actually cut through like kelp and seaweed. The third class is class Holothuridia. Holothuridias are our sea cucumbers. They are scavengers and detritivores. So they're going to be moving around the ocean floor like little slugs. And they have tube feet around their mouth. And anytime they find stuff on the ground, they bring it into their mouth and eat. They also have a really cool defense mechanism, which is something I am going to make you guys look up because it's gross in a good way. The fourth class is class, I never know how to say this properly, class Ophiuroidea. 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 Sure. These are the brittle stars, so they're not starfish. They're close to starfish. They look similar, but they have more feathery arms. They are scavengers and detritivores as well, and they use the same kind of method that sea cucumbers do. They use their little tube feet to bring food to their mouth, but because their arms are so feathery, they sometimes also just stick their arms up in the air and use them as filter feeders to catch different particles that are going to be passing through the water. And then our last class is class Crinoidea. These are called our feather stars or our sea fans. I mean, not sea fans, sea feathers, different things like that. And that's because they look kind of feathery. They are detritivores as well, and they use their arms to filter feed. All right, that's all I got. Bye guys, have a great day.